Welcome to Road to Recovery.
Hello and welcome to Road to Recovery, Advocacy and Insights for Trucking Accidents with Sagi Shaked. Sagi is founder of Shaked Law Personal Injury Lawyers and is ranked as one of the top 100 trial lawyers in the United States by the American Trial Lawyers Association. With a wealth of experience in personal injury, wrongful death, and complex litigation cases, he passionately advocates for victims and has recovered multi-million-dollar settlements and damages for his clients. I am your host, Kevin Rosenquist, and today we are going to talk specifically about Publix truck accident cases, and this is all about what you should know. Sagi, great to see you.
Great seeing you again, Kevin. Thanks for having me.
All right, we teased this a little bit, I think, in the last episode or 2 episodes ago, but we're going to talk about Publix specifically today. So what are the most common causes of accidents involving Publix trucks?
So what we see with Publix is you're seeing a lot of, 1, fatigued drivers. They're driving way too much. 2, also careless drivers not stopping at stop signs. In terms of fatigue, they're just tired, or some of their drivers having sleep apnea. These are things that need to be explored. So, and a lot of times underride accidents where you have, a truck making a left turn, right? And a car is coming straight and, unbeknownst to the truck or to the car driving that, there's going to be a truck pulling right in front of them. I mean, we had in another trucking case today, a deposition where the truck driver, says, I ran the stop sign. I had a better vantage point, but I'm still blaming the guy that was driving straight. I'm like, well, wait a minute. Didn't you run the stop sign? Didn't you say you ran the stop sign? He goes, yes, but he should have known. So I guess they want us to know, be alert, everybody, that, the trucking companies want you to know that they may blow stop signs. So you should be on alert to drive slower because trucking companies may blow stop signs. That's what they were trying to say today. It's foolish, but something that we have to look for. So going back, Publix, fatigued drivers, careless drivers, and those left turn cases or the lack of stopping at stop signs. Those are keys that you should be looking at. And then again, if they're traveling interstate, we're going to have different rules. And then if they're traveling intrastate, which a lot of the trucking accidents for Publix are intrastate, they're within the state from one of their hubs to their stores, there's different rules that apply. Those are the Florida rules that will apply to those crash cases. So those Florida rules, a lot of them mimic what the federal motor carrier safety regulations say. So those are the types of things you should be looking for.
I was playing soccer with my 4-year-old one time, and he accidentally kicked me in the shin and then said, "Daddy, you hurt me." Sounds kind of similar to what you're talking about with the truck drivers. Hey, you got to look out for me, man.
Yeah, a foolish argument. But you see that now, a good defense attorney or any defense attorney worth their salt, what they'll come in and say at the time of trial is, we admit we're sorry that this happened.
Mm-hmm.
But these injuries, they're not as bad as he says they are. Or they'll say, we did cause this crash and we did unfortunately cause the family to lose a loved one, but it was a mistake. And, we made a mistake. So they're going to try to downplay it is what they do. Because, again, if a lawyer went in there with those arguments, we ran a stop sign, but he should have known we were going to run the stop sign. It's a bad argument. It doesn't pass much here. I don't think.
Nobody in their right mind would be like, oh, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, it just doesn't work.
So what makes truck accidents involving large corporations like Publix different from maybe like a typical trucking accident that one would see?
So number one, Publix is attuned to what's going on. What do I mean when I say that? They have a team in place as soon as a crash occurs that gets to the scene where you have, let's do a contrast, you have the normal mom and pop operation. They may have 1 or 2 trucks. They cannot afford to have a team while their insurance company has a team. By the time they get there, evidence disappears. Now, with the big companies such as Publix or the Amazons of the world or the UPSs, the Federal Expresses, they have teams in place ready to go to the scene immediately to, 1, try to get video. 2, if there isn't any video or if there is video, they don't want to get the video. They don't want to help your case. They're not there to help you. They're there to protect the money. These people are on the payroll to protect, we'll use Publix, for example, to protect Publix and their money. So I'm not saying anything bad about Publix. I'm just telling you, if you have a case involving Publix, you need to make sure your team, your trucking accident attorney, is there immediately, gets their team involved, that accident reconstruction expert, the photographer, the human factors expert, the trucking expert. You need to inspect the truck. Don't just rely on photographs. Go to the site of where that truck is and get it inspected. If it's a trailer because you have an underride accident where the trucking company is making a turn and someone's going straight and smashes right into the middle of the trailer, you want to get to that scene as fast as possible, but you also want to get and check out the truck, check out the trailer. Was there something in the truck that, distracted the driver? For example, we had a case where the truck driver had an iPad and he was watching movies at the same time he was driving. Can't watch movies while you're driving. That's distracting. Can't play on your phone while you're driving. That's distracting. It's not right and it's not fair and it's against the law to do that, even when you're doing it in a car. But even so, more importantly, when you're driving 80,000 pounds of machinery down the road, one small mistake can kill someone. And we've had those situations where they make that one small mistake. And unfortunately, an entire family is destroyed because of what they did. So getting to the scene is important. Inspecting the truck is important. Inspecting the trailer, not just relying on photographs. Photographs are not enough. Go to the scene. You'll never understand what you get from that going to the scene unless you get there. There have been gems that we have found in different cases. So go to the scene, go to the tow yard where that truck is stored and get there right away. Go with your experts, go with your photographers, get everything documented, I's dotted, T's crossed to make sure you're protecting your client's case.
Who can be held liable in a truck accident? Is it just the driver or does the company bear responsibility as well? In this case, Publix.
So yeah, in this case, it would be, I would say 99 or 100% of the time, it's the company. So Publix, if they're involved, if their driver is involved, their driver would be on the hook as well. Now, keep in mind that let's say the case goes to trial, the driver's not paying the settlement. That's coming from Publix's money. Right. So it's not that the driver they don't have that kind of money to pay the millions of dollars if they cause someone to die or tens of millions of dollars. So it would be the trucking company, and usually it's Publix because they haul their own goods from the distributor location to the actual stores. So, and then sometimes it's Publix, but Publix could be responsible because maybe they loaded the truck wrong and the truck rolls over or flips on a person or another car. So you would have Publix, not necessarily isn't the driver's fault, but it's still Publix's fault because they loaded the truck improperly. So it really depends on, how it happened, but it's always going to be the Publix company and their driver. And then potentially there may be, if there's a defective component in the truck, there may be a products liability case against the trucking company that manufactured the truck or manufactured that specific component. Let's say it's a software. We talked about, I think in the past, the automatic braking of these vehicles. So there's that you can go after. And keep in mind, all these trucks, as 2 years ago, have cameras, interior and exterior. So one, they're looking at the sort of like the camera's looking at me right now, internally what I'm doing in the truck. And then externally, they're looking at what's going on straight ahead and the peripheral to the right and the left. So those are things that need to be preserved right away.
When you said the truck would be loaded wrong, is that just about weight distribution?
Yeah, they may put too much weight on one side, and that can cause a truck to roll. So there is a way to do it. There's also experts when we talk about loading of trucks. So it has to be loaded the right way. And I know everyone thinks it's common sense, but not everything that's common sense is common because, it's common sense not to dart into the middle of the street, but people do it. It's common sense that you shouldn't slam into other people from behind, but people still do it. So I don't know if there's such a thing as common sense. Maybe we all have like common understandings, and then whether we comply with those common understandings is a different thing. So
I'm totally stealing that, by the way. Common sense isn't always common.
Yeah.
Sagi Shaked.
Yeah, there you go. Give me the credit.
Yeah. Promise I'll cite you. Obviously, a company as big as Publix has company policies in place. What role do those policies play in determining the fault in a truck accident case, if any?
Well, they do play a major part. So when we talk about company policies, a lot of times, if, for example, the company policy would be always to, for example, comply with the law, make sure you stop at a stop sign. If it's not safe, don't go. The company policies could be, if the company policies require more than the law, then that's going to hold as the standard. So every company has different set of policies. So we want to look at those policies and see, and did the driver comply with the policies? And if they didn't, let's start looking back and seeing how far back has this driver not complied with the policies, and what is, in this case, let's say Publix, doing about that? Are they ignoring it and continuing to allow this driver to violate the policies? And guess what happens? If you have safety policies in place and someone continues to violate them, an accident or a crash is bound to occur. And so that's why you have those safety measures in place to ensure that drivers don't drop the ball, to ensure that drivers don't roll through a stop sign. They actually stop, look around, right? Look to the left, look to the right, see what there's to be seen, and not just, ignore people coming on the road, because in a matter of seconds, someone's life can change, and that person's family's life can change for the worse. So especially because the driver, again, is driving from a higher vantage point. They're usually sitting a lot higher in these trucks, these tractors, and can see a lot better. So complying with the policies that these companies have, for example, like Publix, can really make a difference in a case, because it's not just a car crash case, right? It involves a truck. It involves a company, it involves someone violating that company policy. And then you're looking into punitive damages, because, hey, if you have this driver that's continuously violating your policies and you're allowing them on the road, and then they get into a crash, now you have a claim for punitive damages. That's punitive means to punish the company, because otherwise they don't learn and they continue to put on their drivers and continue to endanger everyone on the road, including you and me.
What specific legal tools do you use to gain access to the crucial evidence, the accident reports, witness testimonies, black box data? How do you go about doing that?
Another full of great questions today, Kevin. So, when we look at, getting and preserving the evidence, so we have companies involved that we work with to download, for example, what we call the black box or the electronic data recorder, the EDR. We want to get that done right away. So you really have to have that already in place. You can't be scrambling to look for somebody, as soon as you get hired. That means you're not doing these cases on a routine. You need to have your team in place, just like the insurance companies and the Publixes, the Amazons, UPSs, and FedEx of the world. They have their team in place. We have our team in place. We're ready to roll from day one to go to the scene. We're ready to roll from day one to do that download of the data recorder. We're ready to go to inspect that truck to see what's going on. Not only do we inspect the truck, we videotape the inspection. We take 360 dimensional recordings of the truck so we can look at it on a 360 view, and then the accident reconstructionist can put a 3D animation of how the crash occurred. Because when we first started practicing almost 25 years ago, there weren't that many cameras on the streets or on the highways. So we'd have to use a lot of the 3D dimensional reconstruction of how the crash occurred. A lot of times now, you're actually seeing the videos, which makes life a lot easier. But you still get those animations because it can tell you a lot what's going on, and it's a visual for the insurance company, for the companies, Publixes of the world, the Amazons, the UPS, the FedEx. It gives them a visual, and for the jury too, so they can better understand the case. So we'll get to the scene, we'll get our experts to download the black box data. We want an expert to download the cell phone data, not just rely on the driver to say he wasn't or she wasn't on the cell phone. We have the right to download their cell phone. We're going to find out if you were on that cell phone, not only if you were making a phone call, because that you can get from the cell phone records, but I'm going to find out if you were surfing the internet. I'm going to find out if you were on Facebook. I'm going to find out if you were on Instagram. I'm going to find out if you were checking emails at the time of this crash. So if they try to pull a fast one on us and tell us they weren't on the phone, and we find out that they were, because these cell phones, you can get all the data in the world. So it's sort of like keeps them honest. That's what our job is. Let's keep them honest. If you weren't on the cell phone, no big deal. But if you were on the cell phone, it's a big deal. And then if you're lying on it about it, it's even a bigger deal. So we have those experts in place. Again, keeping the insurance companies and the Publixes, Amazons, FedEx of the world honest. So they can't get away with trying to lowball or trying to get a flea market price for what happened to our clients.
How do you handle the challenges of negotiating with large companies like this, like Publix? You mentioned Amazon, you mentioned FedEx. Negotiating with them and their insurers, that's got to be fairly difficult.
Yeah, they think they're the big bullies, that they can come in there and hold the money out. And that's what they try to do, hold the money out. They don't want to pay fair compensation. So they'll hold out as long as possible to make the client, suffer, or the person that lost a loved one suffer. They'll drag it out for years on end because they can make money and interest. And in the meantime, they're thinking the client's going to go away. We're not going away. And we're going to make sure the client can hold on till the end, because these cases do take a lot of money. And that's why you need to go to a firm that can handle the hiring of all these experts, putting out that money for years before you get fair resolution. And then, people who are lawyers that know how to try these types of cases, who've gotten, the results, the $1 million results, the tens of millions of dollar results. And I think we've spoken about this before. We had a settlement in excess of 100 million. That's the number I'm allowed to say, but it's in excess of 100 million. So when you have that, you have some credibility, and we can go toe to toe with all these companies, because while we have that case, they've got hundreds of cases going on and they've got to spread their money, and we're going to put them to task and we're going to go after them. So if they want to stall negotiations, let's do it. We'll get to trial, and then they're going to have to face, a jury, and the jury doesn't like those tactics. They don't want to hear these types of cases, but when they do, they punish these companies for putting bad drivers on the road, for putting drivers that could have prevented this, from drivers that make, bad decisions. Bad decisions change people's lives. So that's what we're here to do. We're here to be the equalizer for you, for everyone who's got a case. We're willing to go to bat. We're not looking to settle the case quick as much as we would want to if they paid fair compensation. But a lot of times they just don't. Most of the time you have to file a lawsuit and get the case ready for trial, or actually try the case, because they just don't want to offer fair money.
And we've talked about before about how important it is to not try to handle this on your own, and in any trucking case, or any accident really, but even more so when you're dealing with a company like this.
Yeah, there's studies out there that show that the insurance companies and these big companies get away with paying a fraction of what they would pay if the clients went to a lawyer. So, and then it depends on the lawyer. So for example, just give you an example. You can you can get a Kia, or we'll use a Rolls Royce. There's difference in cars. Those are different cars. Or let's say a Kia and Ferrari. Ferrari is going to be much faster. It's going to cost more. A Kia is less money, more economical. The only reason I'm using that comparison is I'm saying there's Kia type of lawyers, and then there's Ferrari and Rolls Royce types of lawyers. If you want a Kia settlement, then just go to your average lawyer. You want the Rolls Royce of settlements, or you want the Ferrari of settlements, then you've got to go to a lawyer. And I don't like talking about myself, but a lawyer like myself who knows what they're doing, who's been in the courtroom, who's tried cases, who's got millions and multi-million dollar verdicts, tens of million dollar verdicts, settle the case in excess of 100 million. You want to go to a lawyer who knows, who's going to get you the result that you deserve, not just an average result. If you want average results, go to average lawyers. You'll get your average results.
Yeah, great point. Well, thank you for tuning in to Road to Recovery, Advocacy and Insights for Trucking Accidents with the Ferrari of lawyers, Sagi Shaked. For more information or to connect with Sagi, you can check out shakedlaw.com. And don't forget to like and subscribe our channel and leave us a review in the comments. Sagi, always great to see you.
Likewise. I like that comment. Thanks.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to hit that like and subscribe button and leave us a review in the comments.